Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. You already know. Back at it like a torta with some bad habits. Bye up, bye up. Let's get to the intro. This is my favorite time of week. Welcome back to the channel. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I appreciate all the support, man. I'm very humbled by it. So this is my favorite time of the week. This is Fuck Jake and Rebecca Fridays. Ding, 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 ding. And the winners are hopefully not them, hopefully us, and hopefully Baby Emmanuel, because it's all about justice for Promise and Baby Emmanuel right here on my channel. We're going to get it today. And I got a topic I wanted to talk about. All these miserable, stupid, idiotic motherfuckers that continue to support these two monsters when they know what they did. Anytime a man or a woman harms a child and you support them, you might as well did it yourself, stupid. That's how I feel, right? Well, there's a lot of people talking about, well, Jake had a bad childhood. So why don't you talk about his childhood more and talk about the trauma and the drama that he went through that made him into the monster that he is? Fuck you. Look, there's no amount of trauma or drama that can turn you into a monster the amount that Jake is, okay? A person that hurts babies, his own flesh and blood, his own children, well, that right there is just some bullshit, okay? That's the monster to monstrosity, to monstrous proportions. It doesn't get worse than that. And his fat, lumpy butt bitch, Rebecca, well, she's just as bad as Jake because she is an enabler and she's a condoner. And she's a condoner to a raggedy ass fool's boner. And forget what she's talking about. Talking about, oh, Jake's a good father. A good father? Tell Promise that. You can't because she can't hear you anymore because her eardrums are popped because of what Jake did. Stupid. So let's look into the past of Jake for a second. He does come from a family, a household, his brother and his sister and his siblings, man, they did have it bad. But growing up in the barrio, in the ghetto, all of us who lived that life had it bad. See, everybody, doesn't matter what walk of life you come from, you have it kind of bad, right? You got it bad. When you wake up and there's nothing but kick cereal saying, right? We had it bad. Wick, stand up. You guys already know. Jake and his siblings were split. And there was a lot of abuse going on in the household. In fact, they had a grandfather. Sneaky bastard, right? They had a grandfather, and Jake and his sister Sylvia were sent to this grandfather. And of course, Hector Haro, Jacob Hector Haro, or Hector Jacob, he was sent to his father in Las Vegas. Now he had it a little bit better because obviously Jake's father's side of the family are not as bad as his mother's side of the family. And it can be like that sometimes. You know, my both sides of my family, my father's side of the family, I don't want to say ghetto, they were a little rough, a little gangster, a little, no one worked. Everybody robbed, right? You know what I'm saying? It was like Robin Hood. We're going to steal from the rich so we can get rich, right? That's how my dad's side of the family was. So I had to have two faces. When I was around my mother's side of the family, it was all hard workers. My tios all got up early in the morning. My grandfather taught them how to go to work. You know what I'm saying? There was rules in the household, man. It just was with my mother's side of the family. It was good values and morals, right? Didn't mean that we didn't have no gangster motherfuckers. My Theo Joe was as gangsters that ever were, right? And myself and my brother and a lot of members of the family got affiliated and associated. But on my father's side of the family, everybody was gangster. Everyone had gangster in them. Whooping! Ricky, my primo Papis, my primo Johnny, like everybody was a gangster. That's just how it was. That's the lifestyle we grew up into. Okay, I don't know. I can't tell you how, the rhyme or reason or why or when it happened, but it fucking did. So I understand you have two things on both sides of families. But one thing we never had on either side of my family was child abuse. It didn't happen. Okay, you got your ass whooped. Back in the days, who didn't? Sometimes it was a little too aggressive. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes my tias, they say, bring me my fucking chancla. I said, why, tia, you got high heels on? You know what it's for. But I didn't do nothing. That's the whole thing. You didn't do nothing, bitch. Right? Oh, shit. So we're getting our asses whipped for not doing nothing. But then we realized as we got older, they were whipping our ass for not doing nothing because we didn't do shit. You know what I'm saying? But plot and scheme and plan on what next house we're going to break into, car to steal, bike to steal. We were just some bad kids. Now, and Jake, his side of the family, his mother's side of the family is caca. Fuck them Fridays. Okay, they're caca. And because of abuse that was going on in the household, because of the things they were going through, and no child deserves it, not even Jake. Can't believe I said that. But no child deserves that, okay? None. And they were going through abusive things. His mom was bringing men in and out of the household. These are facts. I've talked to people in that family. I'm not just fucking talking to talk, okay? This is all facts, based on facts. And they were split up as children. And like I said, Sylvia and Jake ended up going with their grandfather, which is their mother's father. Hector went with his biological father in Las Vegas. Now, Hector had a little bit of a better life, but we know how that turned out. As soon as he fucking went over to live with Jake and Sylvia, he died. There's a lot of rumors into why he died, how he died. We do know it was an overdose. We do know that he did die in, of course, Jake and Rebecca's home. Rebecca was not around at that time. You know, he died in 2021, right before COVID hit. So that's what happened with him. So all these theories about him, you know, I interviewed his best friend. So all these theories about, oh, he was sleeping with Rebecca and Jake was jealous and this, and that. You got him confused. He wasn't even around when baby Emmanuel was born. He wasn't even around. He was already passed when Rebecca came into the scene with her lumpy, dumpy ass butt. She had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men took a look at that ass and said, oh, never again. That's her, lumpy butt, right? Ola butt. Now, when it comes to Jake, because these families were split up, Jake and his sister Sylvia did continue abuse. There was a lot of abuse going on from their grandfather. Eventually, they were taken away from him too and put into the system. These are facts, right? So Jake did have it bad. But still, just because you've went through some hardships, some abuse, maybe some sexual abuse or whatever you've gone through doesn't mean you continue that pattern with your children. I have a personal friend, man, who didn't tell me too much later in life what was going on. And the cool part was I used to go over there. His dad was hella cool. Let me tell you, his dad was a mean motherfucker, but a cool motherfucker until I found out he wasn't too cool and he was just mean. So one of my homeboys, David, when we were young, man, he was a neighborhood friend, never really was a gang member into that lifestyle, but hung around with a lot. He was associated, right? He was associated with gangs and everything. Basically, all his homies were gang members, but he wasn't. It's because he had a very, very strict father. And I remember his father worked for the city of Merced at the time. And we'd always be in the front yard, you know, looking at stolen bikes or just doing our thing. And his dad would pull up and everybody would bow down. He just had that demeanor, that look, that mean, roughy fucking just mean ass look, right? His mom was like part of the Partridge family. Very nice, baking cookies, always has her husband's food ready, hot on the plate. Like, he was one of those dudes, like, we wanted to spend the night at his house because they had good food and everything. They lived good. The dad had a good job. The mom was a school teacher. Like, they had money, right? He had a badass sister, too. I remember I used to be like, ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. She'd be like, nope. She liked white people. And that was that. You know what I'm saying? Brother. So anyways, we'd go in his backyard, hang out in the tents, chill out, right? We'd camp out there. And the dad would always be like, I don't want you motherfuckers to leave my yard. I don't want this. Like, he was mean, right? But I respected him because I seen him working hard. You know, I seen his family were real loving with them. You know, I'd go over there during Christmas time. They had more presents than I'd ever seen. They just had it going on. But the homie always had a little gangster in him. He was always, even though he wasn't part of a gang, he's a thief like a motherfucker. He'll steal your fucking shoes off your feet. So one time I'm over there and I noticed that the homie's mom is looking real, like, confused. She's looking like disoriented, like something's wrong with her. Something happened to her. She had a little bit of an Ola eye. I call that the Ola eye, the black eye. She had a little bit of a Rebecca. And I said, are you okay? You know, because I had never seen her like that. She's happy-go-lucky, just a good woman, good peoples. And she's like, I'm okay. And her husband came walking in the door, and me and David are sitting there. We're in the front room watching TV, and he's like, both of you little motherfuckers, get out of my house. All right, cool. All right, shit. You didn't even have to tell me. I was already headed out. So as we get out of the house, this fool, I could hear him arguing. And I tell David, are you all right? He didn't say nothing. Right. So I stopped going over there as much because the dad was getting meaner and meaner. I noticed. Right. You know, he'd come out, you know, talking under his breath. You little motherfuckers, thief motherfuckers, better not steal nothing from me. I'll kill you. Oh, shit. Okay. So I remember telling my mom's one day, man, David's dad's mean. She goes, yeah, he's a mean man. Even when she met him, she was like, yeah, he's a very mean man. Something ain't right there in that household. Never keyed in on it, never tripped. Time moves on. I ended up going to the youth authority on a murder case, and that was it. So I didn't see David till years later. When I did, he was all tweaked out, spun out. This is years later. I'm like, what's? I didn't even recognize him. He recognized me. He's like, what's up, bro? Damn, it's been a minute. I said, who the fuck are you? I'm David Whoopty Whoop, said his last name. And I was like, damn, the one with the fine ass sister. What's up, bro? He's like, yeah. I said, I thought you guys moved or something. He said, nah, remember you got locked up and now we're still in the same house. My mom and dad live there. You know, I got my old lady and my pad. And he's like, you should come by my pad, come eat or something. My old lady gets down. I said, yeah, I want to see to what degree his old lady, you know what I'm saying? I want to see if her wind's blowing, if she has a sister or something. So I go over there. You got a big old mugre, big old fat Rebecca Haro type looking chick, right? So it's all good, but she can't cook though. So I remember she makes some chile rellenos. We're eating. And I said, hey, remember fucking that one time, man, we're at your house? We're just reminiscing, right? We're kids. And he was like, yeah, bro. He's like, yeah, I don't talk to my pops no more. I said, what happened? He said, you know, the whole time, man, my pops was abusing everyone in the family, sexually and physically and mentally. And I said, what? No way. He said, yeah, bro. Thank God you didn't spend the night at my house because your shit would have got popped. That's what? Hell no. I couldn't believe the way he was talking about it. But he had 3 kids. He had 2 boys and a girl, I remember. And this all happened since I was locked up, right? He started having them at a younger age. And because I met him when I got out of Hawaii when I was 18. So I seen him when I was like 19. It was like a year I was out when I ran into him. He was a couple years older than me. So he was in his 2021. He already had 3 kids. Like he started early. And he was a good father, man, from what I seen. You know, he was a great father. And I remember, man, running into him later on in life at church and just a good dude. And so that goes to show you that someone can get abused their whole life and put up with all that shit and doesn't make them a monster. Now, in Jake's excuses or people's excuses for Jake, all these weirdos, is that he was fucking hurt and that's why he turned into a monster. Nah, hell no. He turned into a monster because he is a fucking monster. There's no excuse for hurting your children. And you know what's even worse than hurting your children is lying about it, not admitting guilt. Yeah, okay, he took a guilty plea for a fucked up ass charge that the district attorney gave him, which should have been life in prison. But of course, he took a fucking gimme charge. That dude's a punk. And Rebecca is more punkish than he is because she supports that motherfucker. Even now, oh, he's a great father. He would never do nothing to my child. Bitch, how about you tell us where your child is, lumpy butt? That's the real. That's just as real as it gets. As far as Sylvia, do you trust her? If you don't recall or remember, I've done a video on it. She was the first one to come to her brother's defense, even after she already knows what he did to her niece. And is it a miracle or is it a trip, man, that she actually worked for the welfare department? She worked for the welfare department. She worked around children. Man, keep that bitch as far away from children as possible because she's probably just as bad as her brother. Now, she hasn't been convicted. Just because you haven't been convicted doesn't mean that you're innocent. She's definitely guilty of sticking up and enabling a fucking poop butt like Jake to do things to his children. My brother, we're stressed out. We can't eat. It's meth, bitch. It's not, has nothing to do with death. It's meth, okay? Which will lead to that. As far as Rebecca, why don't you do something with yourself? Instead of wearing filters and putting on fake nails and blonde streaks in your hair, why don't you go to the district attorney and tell him where your son is, stupid ass? How about that? Stop enabling this fool Jake because you feel bad for him. And there's other people. Someone actually reached out to me like, Gun, why are you doing these fuck Jake and Rebecca Fridays? And why are you going in on them? You don't know them like that. You weren't around. I don't have to be around to know someone like that. The moment that man harmed his daughter, fuck him. And you for saying not fuck him. Straight up. It's the way I feel. Hey, it's my prerogative. Gun could do what he wants to do. And that's what I'm going to do because I'm going to continue to fight and struggle and strive for baby Emmanuel. Okay, I'm not one of those dudes who's going to utilize him to make a little bit of feria. I'm not one of those dudes, man, that's just saying something to say it. I don't have to sit here and say nothing, but I choose to use my platform to provide content, man, that is going to express how I feel about this situation and hopefully will shed some light on some other situations because there are kids going through some of the same things with people making up excuses of, oh, man, I was hit when I was a kid. That doesn't mean hit your kid, stupid. That doesn't mean none of that. That means Spencer, man, shit happens. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit here and say I was abused, but I was hit hard, right? You know what I tell my mother nowadays? And this is a fact. I can't tell my father. He's resting in peace, unfortunately, right? He never touched a hair on my head. It was all moms. You know, Mexican moms hit different, literally, right? But you know what I tell my moms nowadays? And I love my mother more than anything. But you know what I tell her? Should have hit me harder. Should have fucking hit me harder so I would have learned my lessons. So I wouldn't have went out there and try to be a wannabe gangbanger and get all in the mix and be a gang member and sacrifice time with my family and my life and you know, my dreams to be something that I end up getting fucking kicked out of anyways. But not kicked out of, I chose to get off where I was mad at in Susanville. But you know how that ended up. Now I'm no longer welcome. Now you got a whole bunch of people that hate me because they hate me, and a whole bunch of people hate me and they don't even know me. But it is what it is. There's a lot of people I hate, like Jake, that I don't know personally either. So I get it. But never compare me to him, because I don't hit children. I don't beat children, and nor do I kill them and then hide their whereabouts. That'll be Rebecca Lumpy Butt and Jakey the Snaky fucking Netflixer. That's it. So as far as these people wanting to know about the tragic life of the Haro family, fuck all of them, except for Hector. I can't say nothing bad about him. Like I said, I talked to his best friend, and he wasn't like that. And to clear up some of the misconceptions about him for the last time, because people keep saying it, no, he did not die because he cheated with Rebecca. Rebecca was not even around. Now, this cousin that passed away from an overdose, seems like everyone in that family overdoses, huh? Maybe that's a thing. Maybe they should get mind blown. They should understand, stop doing drugs. How about that? How about just stop? Because you motherfuckers don't know how much to do and when to do it, right? You guys do too much. Fucking weekend warriors. You know what I'm saying? You got Rebecca and Sylvia, the weekend warriors. And in that fashion, you know, Jake did go through some tragic things in his life. They all did. You know, when you're with your brothers and sisters and you're split up to different households, that's unfortunate, man. You know, you're very close to your brothers and sisters for the most part when you're little. Then you get older. Some grow apart. Like, I'll be honest with you, I'm not as close to my siblings as I would like to be, but that's just part of the game. And I blame that on myself. I accept responsibility. I was the stupid ass out there gangbanging, doing murders and shit, and not plural, just one, allegedly, and got caught up, right? So I'm the reason that my family is distant from me. You know, a lot of my siblings are distant from me because I chose to put my homeboys and my feelings, my fucking feelings, ahead of everyone else. So I get what I got, right? Now, as far as Jake and what he went through, and even what Rebecca went through with her family, and we'll break that down in a different video because that gets a little tricky. You know what I'm saying? Every time someone has a lumpy butt, there's a lot of shit to navigate. But when it comes to Jake and his family, unfortunately, they did go through some hardship being split up, and they did go through some abuse at the hands of the grandfather and everything. But fuck them. That doesn't mean, you know, you guys continue that fucking trend and become monsters. No. You know, I don't even, you know, Sylvia was seen boarding a plane. She was going to go somewhere, right? I don't think she wants to be interviewed or talk about what her brother did. All of a sudden, she wants distance, right? But where was the distance at when this fool was abusing children, man? You knew what time it was. You should have got a boyfriend to beat his ass. I'm just saying. Now, you're too busy on Instagram trying to look all good and shit with your little hair braided and shit. I ain't going to lie. I would have hit it, and then I would have quit. That's just the truth. So for those that are throwing the stories out there about Hector Haro and all that, false, lies. He was never around during that time. But this other cousin or whoever who did pass away in the house recently, you know, they went to a funeral. There was people that even thought that baby Manuel might even be in that grave with him. I don't believe so. I mean, unless they're very slick at doing shit. But we all seen that where Rebecca was at the funeral and they were asking her about baby Manuel, and she was like, hola, hola. She didn't know what to say. The bitch was confuzzled, and her word, all she could think about was her fucking butt with stretch marks on it. I'm just saying, this is Fuck Jake and Rebecca Fridays, and I'm not giving no excuses for these monsters. It's all about justice for Promise and baby Manuel, and hopefully one day we'll know exactly what happened. Are they going to find baby Manuel? I don't believe so. I believe I'll be growing this beard forever because I don't believe they're going to find baby Manuel. Not whole, at least. But I do honestly feel that this judge has it in them to sentence these motherfuckers to life without the possibility of parole. We'll find out on October 16th when they do go to court if they get a deal or not. But we're talking about a chick that says, oh, I don't know, man, my baby's still missing. Oh, I got right. But she's going to take a deal? Bitch. I would never take a deal saying that I did something to my children if I didn't. But we all know they did. And according to the people that, man, you got to respect his fucking privacy. Fuck him and his privacy. I respect baby Manuel's privacy. And that's it, man. And that's what it's going to be. With that being said, thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in. And that's the betterment of all people. If you like fucking Jacob Rebecca Fridays, make sure that you tap in every Friday and hit a 1 to let me know we're going to continue this. If not, hit a 2 and I'll stop it. Or will I? One never knows, does one. This video is sponsored by Vario Liquors. Make sure you tap in Turlock, California, man. If you're ever in the area, stop into Vario Liquors and go get you something real icky, tricky, and cold, man. Guarantee it's the bomb. With that being said, thank you, everybody. Hey, if you have not joined the membership, go ahead and join the membership right now. You can go on the lower tier, join it, because we're about to start doing some things for members only. And that's a fact, man. Thank you. Tap into the live tonight. Bang, bang. Gun gang. Fuck Jake and Rebecca Friday.